Marinero, the Sick Podcast. Following game one between the Montreal Canadiens and the Winnipeg Jets, round two, I should be excited. I should be happy. The Montreal Canadiens with a huge 5-3 win over the Winnipeg Jets. But the story of the game, everyone is talking about that late, deliberate, cheap POS hit by Mark Scheifele on Jake Evans. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Let's get back to it. Let's backtrack if we can. The Canadiens, who played a huge Game 7 in Toronto on Monday night, go up against the Winnipeg Jets team that was playing their first game in 9 days. And when you have one team that's rested versus another team that's coming off a grinding, grueling 7-game series, it can go either way. The team that was resting is probably rusty. The team that played the grinding, grueling series is probably tired, or that team that played that grinding, grueling 7-game series is ready to go, and that team that, or whatever. You get my drift. I'm rattled myself. I'm Marinero. It's the Sick Podcast, and the show, of course, is brought to you by Essentia, the world's only natural memory foam mattress. Go to myessentia.com/sickpod and see why Essentia is the mattress of choice for many athletes, including over 25% of professional hockey players. Use code SICKPOD for a free pillow with your purchase. Essentia, beyond organic sleep. And the Montreal Canadiens look like they put the Winnipeg Jets to sleep 5 minutes and 10 seconds into the hockey game. The Canadiens were already up by a score of 2-0. Jesperi Kotkaniemi redirected a Jeff Petrie shot pass that went from Gustafsson to Petrie. Petrie, a shot pass. Kotkaniemi skating towards the goal. Very cleanly redirects it past Connor Hellebuck. 3.5 minutes into the hockey game, the Montreal Canadiens are up by a score of 1-0. A minute 40 later, it's Joel Edmondson who finds Corey Perry. He and Eric Stahl doing great work down low. Stahl goes to the net. Perry takes a hit to make a play. What a great pass to Eric Stahl, who basically taps it into an empty cage, and the Montreal Canadiens are up by a score of 2-0. I think it's safe to say they caught the Winnipeg Jets by surprise there. Nobody expected the Montreal Canadiens, I don't think, to be up by a score of 2-0, 5 minutes and 10 seconds into the hockey game. And you knew it was going to be tough going up against Connor Hellebuck. You knew it was going to be tough going up against the Winnipeg Jets. And the Montreal Canadiens almost made it look easy, as a matter of fact. And then they shot themselves in the foot. Eric Gustafsson played the final 3 games of round one for the Montreal Canadiens. And he impressed a lot of people because he didn't play a lot, but he played within his limits and he didn't make any mistakes. Well, tonight he made that mistake. The Montreal Canadiens go on the power play. Cole Caulfield gives the puck to Eric Gustafsson. I would have liked for Caulfield to shoot the puck. He actually passed up on the shot on a couple of occasions on the power play. Gustafsson tried to find Nick Suzuki. His pass was way off. Then Nick Suzuki retrieved it. He passed it back to Gustafsson, who looked like he was a little bit tired. Probably, he was out of gas. And Gustafsson tries this elegant no-look behind the back pass that gets picked off by Adam Lowry, who breaks in all alone. Gustafsson doesn't have the gas to track him down, or he's trying to skate after him, but he can't get to him. And Lowry, just with a quick pump fake, brings the puck from forehand to backhand and beats Carey Price. 5-hole, shorthanded goal, a big one for the Winnipeg Jets. And that gave them that put the Canadiens at 2-1 at that point. But anyway, if the period would have ended like that, then Montreal probably would have been in trouble. Winnipeg's coming. But the puck went from Edmondson to Caulfield to Nick Suzuki. And what a play by Nick Suzuki on a 2-on-1. He actually takes the puck. He fakes that he's going to pass, or he fakes that he's going to shoot. He patiently goes around Connor Hellebuck and just taps it in to a real small opening in the goal, and that puts the Canadiens up by a score of 3-1. That was a huge goal to go into the intermission being up by a score of 3-1. A shout out now to Excellent Photo, centrally located close to downtown shopping and university, ships to all of Canada, professional staff at the store and online to help you choose the gear you really need. Speaking of photo, that's a picture. Excellentphoto.ca. That is a picture of the goal by Nick Suzuki that he scored with just millimeters of space on Connor Hellebuck, the way he was able to jam it in there after making that real nice move, just real soft hands by Nick Suzuki. That was absolutely amazing. The Winnipeg Jets, you know what? To their credit, they tried to make it a hockey game, and Derek Forbert scored a big goal for Winnipeg to narrow the lead to 3-2 after no goals came in period number 2. And the Montreal Canadiens get a big goal, a huge goal from Brendan Gallagher. You know, the Canadiens go on the power play. What an odd game this was, let me tell you. Out of all people, Shea Weber breaks away on Connor Hellebuck, who stacks the pads. He makes a big save, but the puck lays there for Brendan Gallagher, and he's able to jam it home, putting the Montreal Canadiens up by a score of 4-2. Late in the hockey game, when it looked like the Canadiens were closing out the game, well, the guy who's killed the Canadiens during the regular season, Kyle Connor, he let one rip, and he beat Carey Price, narrowing the lead to 4-3. And now the play that, everyone's talking about, and we'll see if we can get it for you here. But anyway, the puck goes down to Jake Evans. He goes off the board. Evans takes off. He's off to the races. The puck goes a little far from him. It goes behind the net. Now you can see that Mark Scheifele is skating back, and he's skating back hard. But Evans wraps the puck around the net, and the puck goes in. The puck is already in. Scheifele still after him, all right? And it happens very fast, but Scheifele hasn't hit Evans yet. And he goes in with his arm up, with his elbow up, and he delivers a huge hit to the head of Jake Evans, who you could tell, and without being a doctor, but I'm going to make a prediction here, he was out the second he got hit with that arm, that elbow. He was out. And Jake Evans, who unfortunately celebrated a birthday, not unfortunately, but he turned 25 today. A hard-fought game for him and his teammates. It would have been awesome if he would have been able to celebrate the win with his teammates. Instead, he has to spend his birthday in the hospital. It made me absolutely sick. It made me sick to my stomach to see exactly what happened. It was deliberate. It was a garbage move by Mark Scheifele, who, you know what, I've always liked Mark Scheifele as a hockey player. I have a legitimate number one centerman, big, strong, can put points on the board, can make other players around him better. But what he did in game 1 of the Canadiens and the Winnipeg Jets of round 2 of the playoffs was a garbage move. It was absolutely sickening. No respect. Evans had released the puck. The puck was already in the net. And Scheifele, and I got to tell you something, he was frustrated all game long, Scheifele was. He was frustrated all game long. And on the Suzuki goal that I talked to you about that put the Canadiens up by a score of 3-1, before the first period was up, Scheifele was on the ice. And it was the Suzuki line versus the Scheifele line. And the Suzuki line made the Scheifele line look bad. And for the rest of the night, the Danault line, which included Jake Evans and Brendan Gallagher, who did a great job on Scheifele, a great job, they had him frustrated. You could tell he was in a foul mood all night. He was ticked off because he knew that up until that point, he had played a garbage game. That was deliberate as deliberate can be. And after the game, Joel Edmondson told us how he really feels.
Yeah, I mean, it was a dirty hit, but the league's going to take care of it. And, if he gets back in the series, we're going to make his life miserable. But, I think the league's going to do a good job with that.
There you have it. Joel Edmondson, who is putting his confidence in the league. I mean, you don't want him to come out and say, well, the league's going to do nothing. They always do nothing, right? You don't want to say that. But I got to tell you right now, the league doesn't always do the right thing. NHL player safety, as a matter of fact, they do a terrible job. They don't do a very good job. with George Parros at the helm. And it always amazes me when you take a guy like that who was strictly an enforcer in the National Hockey League and you put him as a head of player safety. I mean, how does that make any sense? How do you think that guy's going to want to protect some of the better players in the league? I don't know. Mind you, in this case, you would hope that he would know the difference between clean hit, illegal hit, hit on time, late hit, player in a vulnerable position, a player not respecting another player. And one of the things I'd like for the league to do, and they don't do this often enough, is to actually watch a game in its entirety so they can see exactly the storylines leading up to certain plays. Instead of just watching that one action, that one moment, actually watching everything. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, he wasn't happy either.
I think it's disgusting, you know. Little respect for the other players out there.
How can he be happy? By the way, the second it happens, Tyler Toffoli is there. He's not happy. He goes up to Scheifele. He's trying to say, "Hey, bud, what the hell are you doing here?" Type of thing. But the guy whose wires really touched there at one point was Shea Weber. Shea Weber was absolutely livid. He was telling the Jets how he truly felt about the situation. He was telling the refs that he thought the entire situation was bullshit. He was really, really upset. Really upset. And this is terrible news for the Montreal. I feel terrible for Jake Evans, who has played some real good hockey in the last couple of games versus the Toronto Maple Leafs and had a real good game one. And here's a guy who's trying to make a name for himself. He's better than a lot of people think. He's a big part of that shutdown line. He has suffered several concussions already in his career, and you hate to see this happen. Another one, and once again on his 25th birthday, the whole thing, it makes me sick to my stomach. It really does. And how many games did Kadri get? He got 8 games. You know, Dale Hunter back in the day, back in, what was it? I think it was in the 90s, I think. But Dale Hunter got a 21-game suspension for hitting Pierre Turgeon late. And Dale Hunter had more of a reputation than Mark Scheifele. I get it. I don't think Scheifele's got much of a track record when it comes to stuff like that. But, I mean, you would think he's got to be out a big chunk of this series, if not the entire series. So Kadri's got a track record. So that's why he gets 8. Okay, I get it. But Scheifele's got to get 4 or 5 games. At least. At least. I mean, Jake Evans was out. He was out the second he got hit. And then you saw him like flying in the air and then landing and hitting his face on the ice and his neck snapping back the way it did. And you saw the concern by the Canadiens doctors and all the doctors that were there on the ice and stuff like that, having to put him on a stretcher. The good news is that he was moving his hands. You could probably at that point dismiss a spinal cord injury, or you would hope anyway. But this game has really made me sick to my stomach. This league, as much as you like watching it, sometimes there's things that happen that just make me sick. I'm so upset. I'm so angry. Part of me wants Scheifele to be suspended for the rest of the series. And part of me wants him to come back. And you know what? I guess I shouldn't talk about an eye for an eye and all that stuff. And 2 wrongs don't make a right. But Joel Edmondson says they're going to make his life miserable. I hope they do. Because that was a rat move. And you know what? The player will always deny it. They'll always say, you know, it's a fast game and this and that. And I didn't have time to slow up and stuff like that. You know that he did it on purpose. Come on. Let's not be naive here. He did it on purpose, you can tell. SportBuffShop.com for all of your officially licensed sports apparel and more. Use code 615 for 15% off on all of their items. I hope you're not going to get yourself a Winnipeg Jets hoodie. I hope you get yourself a Montreal Canadiens hoodie. Man, the Canadiens at time made it look easy in this hockey game tonight. I don't know what it is. Their forecheck maybe. They got in on the Winnipeg defense. The Winnipeg defense not very good. And Winnipeg was rusty to play that first game that way. They were rusty. The Canadiens were ready. Give Dominic Ducharme credit for having his team ready. And you know what? I think the Canadiens, even though they're up, I think they're going to rally around this. I think they're going to rally around the late hit to Jake Evans. I think it's got them real ticked off. You know the best way to get back to the Winnipeg Jets? You're playing them in Winnipeg again on Friday night. What do? You beat them again. You beat them again. You come back to Montreal when you're going to play Game 3 on Sunday and Game 4 on Monday. And you played in front of your fans being up 2-0 in the series. But so many people are upset. I don't think my aunt and my uncle watched a game this year. They called me and they said, that animal, what are they going to do with him? And you know what? He did it in front of 500 healthcare workers. Mark Scheifele did. He really is an animal. That is an animal move to do that in front of 500 healthcare workers who are there to help everybody, and to do something like that. Man, if the National Hockey League doesn't come down hard on this one, I'm telling you, I'm going to go absolutely nuts. You know, the Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs, arch rivals, right? Both of them very proud cities in Canada. Toronto, Montreal, both of them with a long-standing tradition that goes over 100 years in the National Hockey League. And there was a lot that was on the line. And it wasn't the most physical series. But, you know, both teams wanted to win it, you can tell. And it was hard to hate the Leafs going into the series because you respect their talent. And then, when clearly Corey Perry accidentally, his knee hit John Tavares, Nick Foligno asked Corey Perry to fight. And early on in Game 1, you already hated the Leafs. I'll tell you something. I hate the Jets already. One game in, I hate the Jets already more than I hated Toronto for 7 games. I hate them with a passion. Screw you, Winnipeg. Disgusting, man. Disgusting. When are we ever going to have a player on a team when his teammate does something like that and the player come out and say, I'm embarrassed that he did that. I'm ashamed that he did that. He made our hockey team look bad. He made us look bad. He made the city look bad. That's not the way you play a game. When are they ever going to do that? When is the National Hockey League ever going to make the right call? Ever going to give the right suspension? Yeah, and I know that this will never happen. But once again, that happens on the street. That there's someone on the street that's been eyeing you for a while. He's eyeing you. And he's frustrated and he's upset. And he comes after you and he does that. It's assault, right? He spends the night in jail. In the National Hockey League, hey, it's the NHL. It's the game of hockey. It's a tough sport. These things happen. That's the way they look at it. What a sick league, man. What a sick league. I still have the images of Evans flying in the air, and he's already concussed while he's in the air. Anyway, Carey Price, sharp again. I thought Shea Weber was absolutely colossal for the Canadiens tonight. I thought Ben Sherratt versus his former team was excellent. I thought Joel Edmondson was absolutely fantastic. The Danault line did a great job on the Scheifele line. That's why he was frustrated. Who wants to make money? I'll make you some money.
Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money.
All right. Place your bets on MyBookie. Go to mybookie.ag/thesickpodcast and use code SickPicks for a 50% deposit bonus. Bet, win, get paid. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell you right now. The Montreal Canadiens on Friday night, they're going to go into Winnipeg. Thomas Tatar, I would guess, is going to replace Jake Evans in the lineup. I'm also going to tell you, I have a feeling that Alexander Romanov will play his first game of the playoffs. He'll replace Eric Gustafsson, who made a pretty bad mistake in game number 1, giving away the puck and the Jets scoring a shorthanded goal. I expect a physical affair. I expect the Canadiens to take it to the Winnipeg Jets And I expect the Winnipeg Jets to be minus Mark Scheifele, and I expect the Montreal Canadiens to beat them and take a 2-0 series lead. And, sometimes there are turning points in this series, and I got to tell you, I thought that this series was going to go 7, and it very well may. I did not expect the Montreal Canadiens to win game number 1. I really didn't. And I was really pleasantly surprised with the way they played. And I think now that the Montreal Canadiens are going to win game 2 against the Winnipeg Jets. They're going to win game 2. So give me Montreal to beat Winnipeg. And give me the New York Islanders in front of their fans to take a 2-1 series lead. There's going to be a split in New York. I'm going to go with New York winning game 3. I'm going to go with Boston winning game 4. I'm going to tell you right now, if Boston wins game 3 and nobody gets injured on either side, then I'm going back to New York for the next game. Because there's going to be a split in New York. That series is going 7 games. And once again, the Canadiens to beat the Winnipeg Jets. Based on what I saw tonight, I feel very comfortable that they're going to do that. They match up better than I thought. And it didn't look like Winnipeg was able to stain the Montreal Canadiens forecheck. Hopefully, I'll be in a much better mood when I talk to you again after game 2. But for now, I'm really upset. This is the Sick Podcast. That hit made me sick. It made me sick to my stomach. And you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at the Sick Podcast. Tell all your friends about it, and tell all your friends to watch the Canadiens and the Winnipeg Jets this series, because guess what? If Mark Scheifele comes back, I'm telling you, I take Joel Edmondson to his word. The Canadiens are going to make his life miserable. Marinero, the Sick Podcast, and the show is brought to you by Essentia, the world's only natural memory foam mattress. Good guys win, bad guys lose. And you lost disgracefully, Winnipeg. Cheap shot. Disgusting. You make me sick, and I hate you already after 1 game. Canadiens are up 1-0 in the series. Marinero, the Sick